Hi, Ryan.
Hey, man, how's it going?
Been going kind of rough, actually, but I'm doing pretty okay right now.
Yeah, no, I figured. I mean, you weren't here.
Yeah, no, I took a hiatus last week for in the Dota community, they would call it pressing ceremonial reasons.
Okay.
I also ended up missing our Twilight Imperium game that we had hyped up over several episodes, I believe.
Yep.
So now during this episode, you get to tell me all about that Twilight Imperium game, and I am ever so looking forward to that.
Yep. That'll be the latter half, because I want that to be like I don't want to filter people out early.
Well, what else are we going to be talking about today?
Well, I was planning on talking about not really Silksong so much, because I actually haven't really looked into Silksong basically at all, because I've been planning on playing it, and by the time this episode comes out, it'll come out the next day, September 4th.
Yep.
But I do want to talk about Team Cherry. I have a question to pose to you about them.
All right. Well, I'm ready to jump into that because we've been talking about this, talking about Team Cherry thing specifically, and I've been wondering what you mean by talking about Team Cherry.
Well, we can also talk about the fact that we are on Spotify and iHeartRadio. Like, comment, subscribe. That was us talking about it, so we're done that.
Okay. You remembered the plug.
I do remember I remembered once. I also I have another question to pose to you later, but that'll be for then.
All right.
Might tell you about what I'm playing right now. It's kind of cool.
So, Team Cherry.
Team Cherry.
I know I have played their first game, Hungry Night.
Hungry Night.
Hungry Night, which was a quick mock-up game jam game that they made where you play as a little knight running around eating cherries, and the knight is the Hollow Knight knight, which to me indicated that they were already working on Hollow Knight when they did that game jam.
But it depends on the game jam. Most game jams, you can't actually make assets pre-built unless they are literally bought.
Well, it was an original asset. It was unique to the game, but it was definitely that character, you know?
They may have just made him then.
I believe, they were dreaming up Hollow Knight at this point, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, probably. And then they made Hollow Knight, I presume.
And that's the only game they've made as far as I know, right?
The only one that I didn't know they made Hungry Night, so...
Well, Hungry Night isn't a published game or anything like that. It was a game jam demo.
Yeah. I believe it's their only one, and it's probably it's insane because it's one of the best Metroidvanias I'd say would come out in the last 10 years.
It is a monumental achievement in terms of word of mouth marketing.
Yeah.
Considering that it didn't get reviewed at all when it came out.
People really slept on it originally, and then over time it just sort of spiraled to a thing of obscene proportions of the Kickstarter getting backed. And people fell in love with the game, me included. And I like the fact that all the DLC they put out was completely free. The fact that the game itself was only $15, which at the time, even now, is insane.
Yeah, and it had a price drop. Originally it was $30, wasn't it?
Was it?
It was, because there was a price drop. It was already super cheap for what it was. I remember this specifically, thinking that this is already cheap. And then they price dropped it to be even cheaper, and it was this is the most insane deal in gaming since the Orange Box.
I did not know that. I bought it when it was $15, and I said to myself at the time, this is a $30 game. I should have paid more.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been great. But then here's the thing they did next that everyone kind of hated. Nothing. They did nothing for 7 years.
Okay, well that's a little unfair.
Sure.
So if we go over the history, they had a bunch of Kickstarter Kickstarter goals, as they always do, and those were all the DLCs.
Yep.
And one of the Kickstarter goals was also a DLC where you play as Hornet as an optional character. It's very Castlevania. They almost always have an alternate character to play as.
Yeah, usually what's his name? Alucard?
Well, Alucard would be, Richter Belmont was playable in Symphony of the Night.
Yeah.
It's unique to the game. Usually it's another character that is specific to that game.
Oh, yeah, Alucard was the person you were playing in Symphony of the Night, and then you could also play as Belmont. Was that right?
Yeah,
okay,
exactly. Yeah. In, Harmony of Dissonance, for instance, you play as Juiced Belmont, but then you also get to play as the guy Maxim, who's important to that story.
Yeah.
And I don't think they wanted to just do a quick reskin. They wanted to have Hornet as, her own fully fledged character with her own, moveset. And at some point, they're we're not going to make this DLC. We're going to spin this off into its own game.
And when they did that, I remember the announcement. I was like, I'm so excited. That's going to be so hype. And then. So here's my query, Ben. Not to capstone that or anything, but here's my question to you.
Okay.
Do you think the fact that they remained silent, basically silent, they had a few things here and there for the last 7 years, was a good idea?
I don't know yet. I'm waiting on Silk Song's reception, because if it is like widely, like if people are wildly disappointed,
Yeah.
I'm gonna say no, because people are hyping themselves up in their heads so much because of that silence. But on the other hand, like, it was entirely free hype. Like, Silk Song managed to get more advertising than any single game in recent memory
Through no money.
completely for free.
Yeah.
Just from people like, oh, is it going to be in the next Nintendo Direct? No, it's not in the. I hear it's going to be in the next Nintendo Direct. It's not going to be in the new Nintendo Direct. It's going to be a release date. They're going to do the release date. It's like, no. It's just, guys, chill.
Well, here's the thing. What I was trying to like think about.
Okay.
Because initially, when they did the recent announcement, I was annoyed.
Really?
I was annoyed because it'd been 7 years without any information at all. My initial response was, well, they should have at the very minimum said something. Because you can do a yearly update and be like, we're still working on the game, we're still here, and I'm fine, and I'm chill with that. But I thought about it. The thing is that I'm really reasonable.
Yep.
I'm extremely reasonable. If you tell me once a year you're working on a game, I'm chill. But I'm not the only person they're selling games to. They're selling games to gamers, and gamers are not reasonable.
They are completely unreasonable.
So I thought about it, and I was like, well, maybe if they had done what I want them to do, and once a year say, we're doing this, that would have pointed response every time. And every time it'd be about 1,000 people giving suggestions for how to cut time.
Mm-hmm.
And even if nobody at Team Cherry engages with them individually, they don't respond, they don't say anything, that's still going to be in the zeitgeist of popularity. And it might even like go to a point where they just are going to see these suggestions and these insults and everything to a point of annoyance, and that will affect their ability to make the game. And I was like, is it really fair that they would have to say anything for the next year? Because if they're getting responses and those responses are just unhelpful, which most of them are going to be by default, and that ends up like hurting the game in the long run, or they hear one and they go, that's a really great idea, we're going to do that, but then that just adds the development time and it hurts the situation.
So I think this is opening up a actually very interesting discussion about like marketing and like building people's expectations and everything.
I was hoping it would.
Okay, well, like, so much of the video game industry is marketing.
Yeah.
Like, it's half the industry. It's just how the games are sold, not the games themselves.
That's what they say whenever there's a game that has like an $80,000 or $80 million budget or whatever. They're like, well, you got to remember half of that goes to marketing.
Well, I also look at the indie market, which we've criticized a bunch in the past, where
Sure.
it's like, okay, well, the indie games that get attention are the ones that have marketing, are the ones that have the backing of, like, you know, some publishing studio like
Like Devolver Digital.
like Devolver Digital. Thank you for filling that in for me.
Or on the flip side, they get they either know a streamer or know that there's a specific streamer who will play their specific game.
Yeah, oh my god, like, and then you look at Hollow Knight, it's like, how did Hollow Knight explode in popularity in the first place? And it was very small. So before it came out, I know people in the Metroidvania community, the people fans of that, had their eyes on it. This was a big thing that they were anticipating.
Of course.
And then it just exploded in that community because of its sheer quality, and that's when it like radiated outward.
Yeah.
But that's such a weird situation where, like, okay, how did this break out of its community? How did it break out of the cave that it was confined in? You know?
You also got to think like I didn't see any videos about it.
No, there was nothing.
Even after it became fairly popular after a period of time, it really was just an overwhelmingly positive review on Steam, and every once in a while I'd pop on your feed and be like, I'll check that out. It's
I would
only
see lots
$15.
of memes. Okay, I remember one video, because it was really notable to me. Easy Allies, which was formerly Game Trailers, like the entire crew, split off, did their own YouTube channel.
Oh, yeah.
They're not super relevant anymore, I wouldn't say, but for a little while I was following them and watching their podcast. They have their review series of just reviewing all the big games that came out, but they didn't review Hollow Knight. And like one guy there who Ben, I I can't remember his name. He's
Mhm.
no longer with Easy Allies. But he's like, okay, well, I'm going to start my own review series where I just review small games, and he just wanted to talk about Hollow Knight. Specifically. It's like, because Hollow Knight's like, we can't just ignore this game. Like, everyone kind of needs to try this out. Like, I get that it might not be the most exciting thing to everybody, but it's so good. And then it became the most exciting thing to everybody at some point during the Silk Song development period.
I don't know. My genuine thought, the only thing I can come up with is I believe that they made the game. They obviously made the game, put it out, and then every once in a while, this $15 game would go on sale for like $7. And a bunch of people would be like, I'll play Hollow Knight for $7. I've seen people talk about it. I've seen good things. They try it and they're like, damn, this is like one of the best games I've ever played, pretty much. And then it just kind of spirals within that it just keeps happening repeatedly. And that was all it took, was like they made a game that was accessible to just about anybody, even people in like poorer countries, and they immediately fell in love with it because they just made a high quality, awesome video game.
So I think another thing that helps is that it's got an obsessive lore community.
It does have an obsessive lore community. It has very much a Dark Souls lore community.
And, like, a commonality between, like, a lot of these games that have, like, insane followings, like Dark Souls and also Undertale and also Five Nights at Freddy's.
Deltarune, but that's just Undertale.
I mean, Deltarune and Undertale. Like, it's because there is, not necessarily because there is all this, like, dark hidden lore. I mean, I think there is in Five Nights at Freddy's and Undertale and everything.
There is.
But more because there is these communities obsessed with uncovering it and bringing it, up front in the conversation.
They need a MatPat to show you what happened in Five Nights at Freddy.
Yeah. And, like, low-key, that is the reason why Metroid will never be as popular as any of these games, because, that period... No, Metroid had that period. It was just long past, and it was ruined by a game called Other M.
Oh, yeah. I forgot. I forget about Other M, and I'm happy for it every time.
I think I will do. I'm gonna do, like, a history, and I'll do, like, a game-by-game, episode-by-episode, maybe. That'll be the easiest way I can do that. And then I can have a discussion with Alex.
Yeah,
we should. You just listen to us talk about Metroid.
I'm just gonna be here like, yeah. I never got deep into the Metroid games.
To compare the marketing things and the silence, Metroid Prime 4 is a really interesting comparison. Do you remember how that went down?
Nope.
So, Switch is still pretty new. People are bitching because there aren't enough good games out. There is Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey on the way.
And there's Hollow Knight at that point.
Yeah, there is already Hollow Knight, but it hasn't fully exploded in popularity.
No.
This is still Switch brand new. Switch did contribute a lot to Hollow Knight's popularity, I should probably point out.
That was my thought when you were talking about the Switch. I was like, oh, yeah.
So, Nintendo announces Metroid Prime 4. They literally have a big Metroid Prime 4 E3 announcement. That's all it is. It's just a title drop. We're making Metroid Prime 4. Everybody loses their fucking shit because Metroid fans are insane.
Yes, they are.
They're a unique kind of insane amongst a community of unique insane people. I know. They also announced Metroid Samus Returns, which doesn't get nearly as much hype, even though it was actually the way bigger announcement.
Okay.
Not going into that. That game comes out, is finally received. No news on Metroid Prime 4 for years and years and years, until finally they're like, guys, Metroid Prime 4, it's not going well. We're going to restart development. We've sacked the team that were making it. We're bringing back Retro Studios. They're going to be the ones developing it now. Someone else was developing it before, but we fired them. We're starting over from scratch. That actually happened.
Okay.
They apologized for the development of Metroid Prime 4 after all these years of silence, and the reception was overwhelmingly positive.
Cool.
People are like, that is so cool, Nintendo, that you're being upfront and honest with everything. We're willing to keep on waiting for Metroid Prime 4 because we know that you're dedicated to making the best game you possibly can. And I'm like, you gamers are unreasonable.
Mm-hmm.
I know you are unreasonable, and you unreasonable people do not know yourselves. They are starting over development.
Yes.
It has already been like 3 years. We are expecting Metroid Prime 4 to come out in like 5-6 more years because they're starting over from scratch.
Yep.
Like, that 3 years didn't happen now. You guys are not prepared for this wait. Turns out they weren't prepared for this wait.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when, like, last year is when Metroid Prime 4 fever started going fucking nuts is like, where's Metroid Prime? Why aren't they going to announce Metroid Prime? And they've only shown little bits of it so far. We're still waiting on it's supposed to come out this year. We're still waiting on the direct that's going to showcase Metroid Prime 4 because they've shown almost nothing of it. And the footage I've seen is like, this game is not in a good state. I'm like, I can tell from what the footage, I'm like, this isn't even like a demo level they're showing off. This is fucking proof of concept footage that they showed the board members when they're like, okay, here's our Metroid Prime 4 pitch. That's my conspiracy theory.
Right.
Maybe in September there's going to be a Nintendo Direct and it's going to turn out that Metroid Prime 4 is going to be the most amazing game ever made. And the people on the Metroid subreddit can, be right and happy and correct about everything.
Well,
sorry, I got a little bitter there.
You're good. You're good. My thoughts when you were talking about that was, one, I had literally no idea Metroid Prime 4 was announced during the Switch 1. I thought that was announced with the Switch 2.
Nope.
I had no idea.
The entirety of the Switch 1 lifespan. When the Switch 2 came out, that's when everyone's like, no, we're done waiting. Metroid Prime 4, now! It was promised to us.
Yeah. That reminded me a lot of what happened with Sonic.
Sonic? Really? Tell me.
You remember that when the first Sonic movie was coming out, and then they put the trailer out, and it was literally the worst thing anyone's ever seen?
Yeah, that everyone hated how it looked because it looked creepy as hell.
Looked terrible, and then they were like, please change this, and then they did. Which
blows my mind. Genuinely blows my mind that they actually changed it. Do you know how expensive that probably was?
It was worth it. Like, this Sonic series is the biggest video game franchise, which is insane to me.
Because the movies revitalized it and did whatever Sonic does, which captures that youthful, furry energy.
I don't get it, man.
I think all kids have it deep down, and either they embrace it or they shun it forever.
I shunted it a long time ago. I don't.
Same.
I don't know.
Same. But I do remember being a kid who loved nature shows and loved learning about animals. You know.
I did not have that. I didn't even really like learning about dinosaurs.
Really?
Yeah.
Dinosaurs are dope, dude.
I know. I was the weird one of the children who didn't really care for dinosaurs.
But you were saying with Sonic, just the remake thing.
That just reminded me of that, and I was like, yeah, because that, they stopped doing it and they redid it from scratch to fix it. But like, it's crazy that Nintendo really went from 30% to 0.
Mm-hmm.
Like nothing there was usable.
Apparently not. I mean, they didn't, I've never seen a behind the scenes or anything like that. I don't know if any pre-production or anything that was made on the original Metroid Prime 4 project was saved. But, the wording to me is when he said, we're going to start over, that felt like to me, they were going to start over. And starting over means a lot bigger, a lot more than I think people on Reddit were really fucking realizing.
Yeah, and it's good that they did it. I'm happy that they did it, but, I'm not going to play Metroid 4.
I don't even know if I am. I've never played Metroid Prime 2 or 3.
I've never played any of the Metroid Prime games.
Metroid Prime Run is really good. I love it.
I did not know that there was a first-person Metroid game.
Really?
For the longest time. This is just not a series that's been in my life.
So the one thing, because Metroid is my hyperfixation right now. I've learned that in times of stress and depression, I go back to, those comfort foods, which is Dark Souls and Metroid. And Zelda to a lesser extent.
I've noticed.
Where was I at? So, conceptually, your perception of Nintendo franchises, to me, when I was going in high school, I would imagine Mario, Zelda, Samus.
Yep.
As being the main. Is that accurate to you in your head?
Nope.
What it would be to you? What are the big Nintendo franchises?
Mario, Zelda, Brawl. But, yeah.
What do you
Melee.
mean? Just Smash Brothers.
Just Smash Brothers. Because when I was in high school is when Ultimate came out. Oh, God.
Wait, Ultimate came out when you were in high school?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, because Brawl came out when I was in elementary school.
Do you mean Smash 4 for the Wii U, or do you mean Smash Ultimate?
Oh, it was definitely Smash 4.
Okay.
I forgot that Smash 4 existed.
Yeah.
Because it was on the Wii U.
There was also Smash for the 3DS. It's actually called Smash 4 because they mean Smash 4 3DS and Smash 4 Wii U. I'm not even joking.
I like that as a name. I like the concept, but we didn't care about nobody played the DS version. Fuck that.
I played the DS version. The DS version was better than Wii U version. It was released ahead of the Wii U version. Actually had a lot of people playing it because they were thirsty for Smash Brothers.
Well, for us, we just played on the Wii U.
I got a lot of my online practice on
that was the first
3DS
one that had
version.
8-player, right?
The Wii U one, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's probably what came out when I was in high school. And then right as I started working is when the Switch came out. So the Ultimate came out then.
Well, okay, so Smash Brothers is what I
Woo.
used as my
I'm
reference.
so sorry. I don't know what that was.
Is what I used as my reference for like ranking Nintendo characters, because obviously you had Mario and all the Mario spin-offs, Yoshi
Yeah.
and Donkey Kong and everything there. Then you had Zelda, which was Zelda, just as big as Mario, just as popular. You have the really popular but not technically Nintendo, like Kirby and Fire Emblem
Yeah.
and Pokemon.
I guess Kirby or Pokemon would be in there as well for me because I don't think about Pokemon as Game Freak's thing. I just think of it as Nintendo.
Yeah, I always don't think about it as Nintendo, and that always confuses the hell out of me when I'm like, oh wait, everyone else thinks of it as one of Nintendo's biggest franchises. I'm like, well, it is Nintendo's biggest franchise.
Yes.
Then the weird ones are like Star Fox and F-Zero.
Yeah, F-Zero, and then if you want to even get deeper, Kid Icarus.
Because, well, those ones were both in the original Smash, and they were both, actual Nintendo franchises developed by Nintendo, made by Nintendo, just like Mario, Zelda, and Metroid. But those ones I always saw as smaller. Metroid seemed to always be a little bit bigger. It always seemed to be a little bit more in pop culture. There's a certain kind of iconography of, like, Mario, Link, and Samus as, like, three iconic characters next to each other, almost like Superman,
Sure.
Batman, and Wonder Woman. In terms of like, okay, we've got a balance of genres, a balance of genders, man, woman, cartoon character.
Yeah.
Mario's a genderless icon now, I decided.
He's a thing.
He's a thing.
Yeah. Well, I should say it's a thing. For me, just like Metroid was just not a thing that I ever thought about. Because the Metroid games that would have come out when I was growing up would have been the Prime games.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been what was mostly coming out. It wouldn't have been the 2D ones. But when I first learned about Metroid games, I learned about through the term Metroidvania.
Okay, I'm going to have fun
Explaining this, yeah.
explaining the history. But we're gonna drop Metroid as a topic. I want to do that like at the end of the episode. I decided, and we're gonna because you mentioned we want to talk about what is a game, I also want to talk about what makes game genres a genre, like how defining it. And I think I can tie that together.
Okay, so we want to do all that at the end.
Yeah, let's do all that at the end, and let's talk about well, you have the game. Do you want to do?
Oh yeah,
talk about Hive.
We can talk about Hive a little bit. This is Hive Carbon. It's on my hoodie because it's a bag.
Yeah, that's the most convenient board game box we have. Is just a bag that you can throw into any other bag.
Do you like the sound, listener?
Yeah, do you hear those clacky dominoes inside?
I'll grab two and then I'll put it away.
So Hive is another one of those absolutely brilliant, we love this game so goddamn much, this is just a pinnacle of board game design kind of thing.
So Hive, these are the two of the pieces that you can see. Hive is a chess-like kind of game. It's very similar to chess in a lot of ways. But instead of playing it on a chessboard with the 64 pieces, I think, 64 spaces.
I don't know, 8x8.
Yeah, it'd be 64, 8 times 8. Instead of playing it on that, these pieces are just hexagonal.
Yeah, and you lay them down like dominoes on a freeform board.
So you literally just have them operating like this. I am in the camera. I'm doing everything horribly. I got it.
Okay.
Bam. You'd have them like this in the board game. And each of the pieces is a different bug, largely.
Much like chess has different soldiers.
Yep. And each bug has a different power.
Much like all the soldiers in chess work differently.
And they operate based off of that hexagonal movement base. So they might have one that goes around the base 3 times. They have one that jumps over everything until into an empty spot. And the goal is to find the queen bug and surround it with with anything. If you can surround the queen bug, you win.
And if your queen gets surrounded, you lose.
Yeah. It's really simple, really fun. And I love it. It's definitely one of my favorite not chess games because I don't like chess.
It's it does the chess thing in that it is a deeply complex puzzle that makes you feel really fucking smart when you get good at it.
Yeah.
But also it is expertly balanced and really, really like interestingly designed. And like it's not like chess where every single game ends up as a stalemate because neither of you are good enough to figure out how to get out of stalemate situations.
Yeah. And it just like this, man. This is like one of the best parts. That chunky like fucking domino feel, and these are so heavy. I love these pieces.
There's a classic image on television of people playing chess or checkers in parks outside. Like it's always like in New York City or something like that. You see two old dudes like playing chess. And I'm like, I've never seen that in real life. People do not take their board games outside in real life. Hive, though, is so perfect for it. Mostly just because of the packaging, but it doesn't need that board. It just needs those tiles.
Those tiles, and you just clack them together. It's a really nice tactile feeling board game, and we have the Hive Carbon Edition, as you can see.
Mm-hmm.
It's black and white, which I think is massively superior to the original version.
How's the original one look?
The original version has a bunch of different colors attached to it.
Oh, are all the bugs different colors and everything?
Yeah, I will see if I can pull up a quick Google search. Board game.
If they could make a black and yellow look good, like if it was like a nice shiny gold yellow that still kept everything visible, I would like that.
Like a bee.
Yeah, exactly, because that's the whole like hexagonal shape. It really works with the Hive concept, and I love how it looks.
Open a new tab. This is sort of, oh my god, this is sort of what it looks like. If for the listeners, the certain bugs like the grasshopper will be green, and it'll have like a different coloring to it. That's the whole thing.
Yeah, I definitely prefer the black and white. It's more elegant. Makes you feel more serious and adult.
I guess, yeah. People also make custom versions of these that are pretty cool. But it's an excellent board game. And I wouldn't say it's one of my favorites, but it's definitely one of the best.
I think it's the best two-player game we have. Like the only other one I would compare is like Karen.
Karen, I do like. You gotta bring Karen in.
I'll bring Karen in.
I am terrible at Karen. I'm okay at Hive. I can usually win depending on who I'm playing.
I'm pretty bad at Hive.
I don't think I've ever won a game of Karen. Ever. I'm that bad at it.
Karen is pretty random. That's not your fault.
It's my fault.
Anyway.
On the topic of board games.
I've been waiting for this.
Have you? No, you haven't.
No, we're not talking about it yet?
I just want to quickly bring up a thing.
Okay.
I got my 3D printer working again.
Oh, nice.
And as a result of getting my 3D printer working again, I have plans to make a bunch of stuff for the board games. I'm going to make packaging and inserts for every board game. And one of those board games, Ben, now you should get excited.
Yay!
Is Twilight Imperium. Because in Twilight Imperium, the box is really big and there's no inserts of any kind. So it's just a bunch of fucking bags and it's terrible. So I'm going to be 3D printing stuff to keep all the components and everything organized and neat, and I'm so excited about it.
Nice.
But I'm also really excited about telling you guys about the game we played.
So, listeners, as we mentioned before, I missed the Twilight Imperium game. I didn't play like we were planning on it. Yep. But that, fortunately, makes for great content, because now Ryan is going to describe to me what happened during the game. You get our...
I sure am!
Our war report... I love it.
It looks very silly at the moment. Hold on a moment.
Wait, are you going to stand up?
I'm going to stand up.
Okay.
Okay, you're going to need this.
I'm going to be in charge of the slideshow.
I think it's up and down. I'm going to... Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Hopefully the... Oh, wait. I need to know where I'm at. Hit Control, Alt-Tab. Hit Alt-Tab.
Alt-Tab.
I need to know where I need to be. Right behind my chair. Dun-da-da. Yes. Okay.
All right, you still got your headphones on?
I sure do.
All right, don't lean over dramatically at any point.
The Twilight Imperium 4th Edition Breakdown. Janitors Against Time. So, this is the name of the game. It is poorly. It is a bad name because you'll see why. But just get to Ben. Next slide. All right. I need to introduce you our races. This is one of my favorite screens I did because this represents so much information.
You played Cabal?
I played Cabal.
Oh my god.
These are the colors that we chose. This is the seating arrangement we had. It's perfect. Okay. But I need to introduce you to each of these races. Ben will be able to help me here because I will forget elements.
All right.
Don't worry, we're not moving yet. We got Ysurl. I got to be over here. Ysurl. Somewhere here. You see it.
You're pointing at the actual screen instead of the slideshow.
There's a goblin. Oh, wait. I'm being really dumb. There's a goblin. There's a goblin. It's named Ysurl. It's in the top left corner, and it is green. The Ysurl tribes, I think that's what they're called?
Yeah.
Their whole thing is cards. They love cards. They want as many cards as they can possibly get.
In the lore, they're like the sneaky assassins, but in the game rules, the cards are like all the weird espionage tricks you can do.
Yeah, and I'll go over this in a little more detail. I chose this for Eric.
Okay.
Regret that.
Sorry, Eric.
I think that he did. I chose it because I thought he'd like it, and I think he ended up liking it. However, it was not the best choice for like a first-time player, basically.
It's not Eric's first game.
No.
He's a big boy.
But it's his like second game, and those last ones were like multiple years prior.
Yeah, fair enough.
Mike played Winnu.
The Winnu.
The Winnu's whole thing is they want to get to the center of the board. There's a tile in the center called Mechatol Rex. Their entire game is based around getting there, and nothing else.
Yeah, so in the lore, they're like the Beta Cucks, who are like the stewards of the old empire, and they thought
Hence janitors.
they want to be in charge now. So
Yeah.
their whole thing is taking that seat of power back.
We'll go into this into more detail. They're fucking terrible.
Yeah, they're famous for being bad because they're all eggs in one basket strategy.
Yep. Jake is playing the Nomad. He's our player 3. The Nomad. Their identity pretty much is that they get their biggest ship very early, and that's kind of it. Within the lore, they are a rich time traveling asshole who comes back to take over in this time period. That's the idea. But like beyond having their flagship, which is their biggest one, they don't really have much else going on.
I mean, their powers based around their flagship are pretty good. They can jump
Yeah.
that flagship all over the place sometimes.
Yeah, but Winnu's flagship is infinitely better.
Yep.
It's actually like the only good thing about that class, I'd argue, largely. And then me, I'm player 4.
You're pointing at the TV screen
I'm
again
pointing at
instead
the
of
TV
okay.
screen. I'm sorry, I didn't prepare. I'm playing the Cabal. I'm here, I think. I don't know.
Have some appreciation for those green screen actors.
I do now more than I did before. The Volrath Cabal are a collective of dinosaurs from a different void time.
They're not all dinosaurs. They're supposed to be like Cthulhu, like
Oh,
weird
like
amalgamation
Leviathans
monsters.
and
It's just that
whatnot.
the main one looks like a dinosaur.
He sure does. He's right there. Their whole thing is that they take your shit. That's
They take it.
mostly it.
They
Like-
take it and they don't give it back.
They take your ships and they do give them back.
Yeah.
You just didn't get yours back.
I just didn't get mine back.
They take your ships and they can use them to upgrade their own stuff and like get that version for free. They're dope. Kinda. I mean, they're not actually that good in the scheme of things because they're similarly in the Winnu that they have kind of a one-note strategy.
Yeah, what's funny is that like they're oppressive at the table, they piss everybody off, but they don't win a lot.
No, they almost never win. The one online game I played, somebody played Cabal exactly like that. They were really annoying. Everybody hated them, but they lost really hard. Next slide, Ben. Experience. We have to go through each of these players' different levels of experience and knowledge, and starting off with our lowest experienced player, Eric. He's played 2 games. He played them years before this one. He has not known much about the game.
Eric energy level medium standard Eric energy.
Standard Eric energy. I have rarely ever seen him extremely excited. Unlike I've seen other people.
Like I'm the bipolar one where I go from like crazy excited during games to like I am going to fucking die in despair.
Knowledge level, as made clear, nothing. He doesn't know basically anything about the game. He knows some stuff, but that's about it.
Okay.
Next, Mike. Experience medium to high. I only say medium to high because he hasn't played as many games as I have, but he's played a lot. Like he's played a very large amount.
I would say Mike's experience is high and yours is very high.
Potentially, but I just put medium high for ease.
Okay.
Energy level high. He was extremely excited. I should also mention to you now, Mike will be watching this episode.
Of course. I
Mike.
wouldn't have it any other way. Hey, Mike.
Yeah, no, he was doing this the whole time. He was also standing the entire game. He was excited. Knowledge level high. He actually definitely knows more about the game than I do, which is saying something.
Mm-hmm.
He teaches pretty much every one time we play this game. Somebody will ask a question, he will immediately jump in and tell you exactly what you need to know and more. Next, Jake. Experience level medium to high. He's probably the legitimate medium to high.
Yeah.
Because he's played a bunch of games and he's won, but he hasn't really played nearly as many as Ben or I. Medium energy level, medium to low. He was tired that day. This actually contributes to a factor I will explain later a little bit. Because he was my neighbor.
Okay.
Yeah, he like lost his steam within like turn 3, which is pretty early in. Knowledge level, medium to high. We basically never need help to help Jake. He pretty much can figure everything out by himself. If he doesn't, he'll ask. Next slide, Ben.
And now you.
Me, the best one. We did a whole episode on this guy. Experience level, highest. I have done the most in the players we have. I have played the most games. I've played online. I know the game fairly well. Energy level, medium to high. Standard me energy. I rarely ever get super excited, honestly, but like, I'm usually pretty amped, especially for a Twilight Imperium game. And then knowledge level, high. I know basically everything, but I forget everything all the time. There was a period of time where I forgot a very, very particular rule that we deal with every single game, and Ben got very mad at me over it.
What was that?
I can't remember the name of the rule, but I asked you to explain it. It was you've done it 1,000 times. It was a Hakan rule, and I was like, "Is that how that works?" And you're like, "We've done this every time." It was a very fair crash out. I'm not judging him. Next slide. Caveats, excuses, and explanations. I need to explain some stuff. So, when we played this game, we had expected to have 6 players.
Sorry, people.
If you don't know this game, having 6 players is like the ideal, arguably. Some will say 8, they're wrong, including the creator, you're wrong. 6 is like the best time, because you don't have to be here for 30 hours, and also you have a lot of different resource elements.
It's also tighter. You have
It's
to
tighter.
compete more. Like in a 4-player game, which is what you did, you tend to have more resources, not less.
Yeah, on the flip side, 4-player games suck ass. But Mike actually hates them, and we were worried he would just not want to do it, but he decided to do it for fun anyway, mostly to help teach Eric. Some information was not properly explained to Eric. This actually hurt his game multiple times. I take full responsibility for this. It's probably both a little bit of me, a little bit of Mike, but we didn't teach Eric properly well. Sorry, Eric. Jake started pretty tired and grew more exhausted as we played. He was exhausted. He was tired the whole time. He basically forgot how his flagship worked, I'm 99% sure.
Oh my goodness.
He also got rid of it once. I picked Eric's faction, and I should have chosen a simpler one. Went over this earlier. You are one of the best factions in the game, without a doubt. They are extremely good. And Eric loves board games, so I assumed, and I thought to myself, he'd probably really like the card aspect of this and having all these options. I should have considered the fact that he's fairly new to the game. And if I had done that, I probably would have given him humans or something. A little bit easier, a little more palatable. Again, sorry, Eric. Our public objectives were ass.
Oh my.
I'm going to go over the public objectives. Not the specific ones, but what they are and how they operate. The thing that you need to understand is that they were really bad for all of our races. A particular one for me was we had to spend 8 influence, which is a currency. My faction planet has 0.
So you had a very hard time with that objective.
I just didn't score it.
Just didn't. The entire game?
I couldn't.
Damn.
It didn't matter. Next slide. The only rule worth an in-depth explanation. How to win. I did it again. I'm sorry.
Yep.
It's here. To win Twilight Imperium, you've got to score 10 points. Ben, shut up. There are many ways to score points, but the most important 3-ish are public objectives. These are tasks you complete during the game. Everyone can score them. They are scored throughout at the end of the round, or if you can, by the Imperial strategy card. Next slide. Secret objectives. These are tasks you complete throughout the game that only you know. Only you can score them. They are scored at the end of the round unless it's labeled with action phase, in which case you score it when you complete it. And then finally, taking and keeping Mechatol Rex, which is the center planet. When you first obtain the middle tile, you get a point, and then if you get an additional point every round. You keep it as long as you also use the Imperial strategy card. There are many more ways to score points in Twilight Imperium. But these are the ones that are most important to this specific discussion.
Okay.
Next slide. The only rule with it is simple explanation. What's the turn order? So, in Twilight Imperium, the turn order is determined by the strategy cards, as we discussed earlier with the Imperial. There are 8 in total, each one with a number on, but the only 2 that really matter for this are Leadership,
Number
which
1.
puts you at first in the turn order and gives you actions, and Imperial, which puts you at 8th in the turn order last, but lets you score points during the round. Beyond that, the rest don't matter too much for what we're talking about. If I did a more in-depth discussion, I would be mentioning a couple more. But for this, we only need these two. Milestones. We're going over each milestone, and that's the way I'm kind of doing this. So milestone number 1 is Mike scores 5 points in round 2.
What the fuck?
As you can imagine by Ben's reaction, that is fucking impressive.
Okay, so, listeners, usually, like, it's a 10-point game.
Yep.
We usually beat it on 5 rounds. You consider yourself pretty lucky if you can get 1 point per round, and then those 2-point objectives in, like, the last couple of rounds. 5?
He did 5. Well, it has to be
Damn,
5.
Mike.
So Mike took Mechatol on the second round, which at that point scored him a point, because when you take it, you get a point. Using the Imperial card, which he should not have had, he scored 2 points. Additionally, 1 for having Mechatol at all, and then he scored at a public objective. Then, at the end of the round, he scored a secret and a public objective, putting him at 5.
Wow.
It was a crazy swing.
Goddamn, Mike.
Yeah, next slide. The lesson. Don't let the guy playing Winnu take the fucking Mechatol Rex nor the Imperial strategy card.
So the all eggs in one basket, you handed him the basket.
This is basically my fault, but I will give 1 point of defense. I unironically, genuinely, fully forgot he was playing Winnu for the first turn of the first round. I was so focused on what I was doing, I didn't even consider that he was playing that character. I moved my ships somewhere else, and I was like, oh no. I don't know if I can get there in time. And then I ended up having to spread myself fairly thin to be able to do what I could do, which was not much. The takeaway. One of the best turns Mike's ever had. This is without a doubt. Mike has played this game a ton. Me and him have, battered back and forth. We've both done a thing where we got 2 points around. We've had a lot of games where we've, gotten huge swings. But this is, without a doubt, one of Mike's best turns. And I want to say I'm happy for him.
I am so sad I missed it.
Yeah. It would have been different if you were there. You would have been more on him.
Oh, no, I would have freaked the fuck out. I probably would have had a goddamn meltdown. I get to be happy about it this way.
Next slide. Eric gets locked down. So, Ben's favorite part of this game is when we vote on laws.
Yeah, I love that.
During one of these votes, Mike ended up forcing Eric to lock down 2 of his systems, which included a way for him to get to a legendary planet. This nearly took him out of the game.
Damn.
So one of the laws is you put 2 command tokens, which I will not go into depth, but that makes it so you can't move out of certain areas, onto 2 systems, and that forced him to not be able to move at all, and that also stopped him from getting to the legendary planet that's outside of the system.
Oh my goodness.
Next slide. The lesson. Not being able to play sucks. Yeah, so Eric basically couldn't do anything that round. He kind of was stuck. He was kind of effed in the butt. And that really sucks.
And a round is a long time in Twilight Imperium. If you go a 6-round game, that's 1/6 of your game. Well, not really, but...
Yeah. To be, super clear, it is a little bit of Eric's fault, but also Eric's really new, so it's kind of hard to be, blaming him for it. He could have worked a way with Jake to stop the law from working, because they had enough points, or enough votes, but he kind of didn't. And I'm sure he had his own reasons and thoughts, but it was kind of an unfortunate situation that really kind of flipped over Eric. The takeaway. Eric is new to the game. He deserves some slack. But Mike made a sneaky play, which is pretty rare for him. He never does that.
Yeah, Mike isn't a sneaky player. He actually is pretty upfront about his violence.
Yeah, he's very much... He and I are polar opposites, as you'll come to realize. We are extremely different in this game, and... it shows right here, but he was able to do something it wasn't really, I don't know if it was sneaky, but underhanded.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, do this or I will vote you away. And it worked. Eric and I failed to capture 1 planet. Alright. This one's fucking annoying. Nearing what we now know to be the end of the game, I attempted to destroy 1 PDS on 1 planet with a poor defense to stop Mike from scoring a point, but failed because Mike's dice rolls are bullshit.
Alex is loving this part.
Eric also tried, only had 1 guy to bring who died because Mike's rolls are bullshit. So, I don't know if every person listening to this has this kind of human being in your life. I have 2. There are 2 people in my life who are better at rolling dice than everyone else. And I know what you're thinking. Well, that doesn't make any sense. But you're wrong. They're just better at it. You know how many times I've played Monopoly and one dude won because he took all 4 railroads? 3 times, which is too many.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense.
We discussed this when Alex was on the podcast. One of the things he hates about the game is just the swingy dice rolls. It's like, well, if it all comes down to a single battle and then it's all random, then what was the point?
And I couldn't do anything about it. I rolled, but he's just a better roller than me, and I'm not very good at it. Neither is Eric. But it's also kind of my fault. Nice line. When planning on attacking Mike, bring 20% more ships than you think you need. This is important. If you think you need, 2 ships to beat him, you need 4. I had the ability to bring more ships, and I chose not to because I thought to myself, I only need 2.
There's that risk-reward calculation.
I was like, I only need 2. I've got 2 mechs. This will be easy. Nope. He rolled 4. When we do it ground combat, he rolled 4 hits in a row.
Oh my god.
Take it away. Fuck you, Mike. Fuck you. Fuck your bullshit. This is not. It wasn't fun. This is a moment that sucked. Fuck you.
Oh, Mike, I love you.
Next slide.
Sorry to hear about this game, Eric.
Mike wins the game with 2 action phase secrets at the same time. Yeah, get it out.
Okay.
After Eric and I attacked that one lonely PDS, Mike attacked Eric's ship with his flagship and ended up scoring 2 secret objectives in 1 turn, which ended up winning him the game very suddenly. This was really annoying for me. The lesson, sometimes it be like that. Sometimes it happens. You can't do nothing about it. Sometimes you're going through and you're playing the game and you're preparing for 3 turns and you have crazy shit. You have 4 unit upgrades on your ships that you're gonna fucking destroy with, and then he wins in 1 fucking turn with 2 secret objectives and you want to die. One of which you told him to go get because he didn't remember in the moment that you could get secret objectives from Dark Energy Tap. I'm getting a little too deep. I'm sorry. That's also kind of not true. He said he was thinking about it, but still.
Okay.
The takeaway. Good job on a well-deserved win, Mike. It was hard fought, and you did well. And I'm really happy that you won. I think it was a good game. It was a fun time. Next slide. Also, fuck you. Milestone number 5. I played an aggressive faction and did well. So this is fully unprecedented. You may not know, but I am not an aggressive player. I am very much a Littlefinger type player. And every time I have played an aggressive faction in the past, I have lost badly. Ben's birthday game, which we've talked about a couple times, was one of my least good games I've ever played. I think I got no points.
Mm-hmm.
But this time, I actually got 2nd place along with Eric and had a really clear path to victory. Part of the reason, though, was because I basically left my entire home system and all the planets there totally unguarded. But I was pretty chill with Jake, who was my neighbor, and he didn't attack me. Also, he was really tired, so he didn't really think about it.
So you still won using your, social skills to a certain extent.
To a certain extent, yes.
Well, I'd say won, but came where you got.
Yes, I did well partially because of that.
All right.
Next slide. The lesson. You can teach a new dog, or you can teach an old dog new tricks. I can learn. Give me the opportunity, and I can learn. You can give me a new faction, and I might be able to figure it out.
Did you have fun playing Cabal?
I did have fun playing Cabal, even though they are terrible. The takeaway, I'm coming for you.
Oh, God.
I'm coming for you, Mike. I'm on your coattails, brother. Next game we play, you're dead.
I'm looking forward to that.
I mean, you're not even trying. Fuck you.
If I was in the game, I was gonna play as L1, and I probably could have taken out your PDS for you.
That probably would have helped, yeah. All right, next slide. Conclusion. I think Mike taking Mechatol and winning was the only way this game would have been any fun. Winu sucks fucking ass because they're based around taking Mechatol, and if you can't achieve that, you might as well not have a faction. They improved a bit with POK, but I think considering what else, POK was an expansion, I think considering what else was at the table, had Mike not taken Mechatol, he probably would have gotten bodied, which would have sucked for him because he barely has a faction, and sucked for me because I would have felt bad destroying someone who barely has a fucking faction. Or he would have gone crazy, I don't know. We also dropped the ball in teaching Eric a bit. Sorry, pal.
I mean, Mike knew what he had to do in order to win his Winu, and he did it.
He did. And I gotta commend him for that.
He would have, if he had gotten blocked out, he would have been completely right saying, well, I lost because my faction sucks.
He also said during the game that it was like the most stressful game he's ever played, because this is the one where he had to push himself into the lead immediately and try to stay there, which was really difficult.
Yeah.
Like, multiple people attacked him on Mechatol, but we knew were kind of annoying for that, and they make it so that you just can't do that, really.
A big thing in Twilight Imperium when we're trying to actually play strategically is we all try to stay in the same running.
Yeah.
Well, no one wants to be too far ahead because they become a target, but you don't want to become too far behind because then you can't win. So if you keep in line and you see that path to victory and you get those final points. But Mike played it hard.
Yeah, he did really well. Gotta commend him for that. I'm excited for our next game with our buddy Elijah. Hi, Elijah. Elijah's my work friend. I mentioned him last week. We're playing with him, and then he might be on the podcast at some point.
Hi, Elijah. Thanks for listening to our podcast.
Yeah. Stop having parasocial relationship with me. All right.
Just have a real one.
I know. That's what I said.
Just kiss already.
I'm trying. He's married, so it's hard. Okay. Now I gotta get the weird screen out of here.
I can't wait to watch this one later.
I'm sure it'll be very fun. 2.
Our episodes get better and better.
We're back. We're back to normal. Hi, Ben.
Hi, Ryan. So the day of the game, the only thing I had heard about it was Mike texting me, I'm never going to play as Winnu ever again.
Yeah, he really, really, really did not enjoy playing as Winnu. Like, it was really clear. Like, he was excited the whole time, but he was also, like, stressed. Mm-hmm. Because he was at Mechatol the whole time.
He might not like being stressed, but I like that energy because he demonstrates, like, what he can do under pressure. Mm-hmm. Like, he plays better when he's out of his comfort zone.
I'd agree, yeah. He played really well. The secret objective thing was fucking annoying as shit. I literally had 4 unit upgrades. I had my dreadnoughts upgraded, I had my carriers, I had so many things ready to go. And I was gonna go fight a motherfucker, but I couldn't because the game stopped at round 5.
That's tragic.
I was a shoe-in for the 2 point, and then I just need to stop him from getting 1 more point until the next round, which would have made it so that I could actually potentially win. Mm-hmm. But I was unable to because he had 2 secret objectives.
So do you think if Alex was in this game, this would convince him that Twilight Imperium was good?
No, I think the PDS thing would have been really annoying for him. Actually, if we're ever going to try and get Alex into this game, we should probably never play with Mike with him.
No, I don't think I'm ever going to try to get Alex into this game.
No, it's probably not worth it.
Maybe when Twilight Imperium 5th edition comes out.
If it ever does.
If it ever does.
It doesn't seem like it will at the moment, but I'm excited for the next faction. They added, I don't know if you noticed this, they added a faction that doesn't have the in front of it.
What?
So a weird thing with Twilight Imperium for our listeners who don't know, every single faction is the something.
Basically.
Except for, what's the one?
I don't know. Offhand.
I want to say it's Sardak Nor. I'm pretty sure the Sardak Nor are the one.
Sardak Nor would be, but there's the Barony, the Federation.
The Federation, the Ysurl.
Yeah, even when it's like the Nomad, even when it's like a single guy, it's still the something.
Yeah, Sardak Nor are the one faction in the base and POK game that doesn't have the in front of it. Huh. With the next expansion, they add Last Bastion, I believe, and they're the only other one that doesn't have the in front of it.
Are you sure it's not the Last Bastion?
I will double check, but I'm basically certain.
I suspect it's the Last Bastion.
It is just Last Bastion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wild. That doesn't even sound good.
I saw that and I was like, oh, that's a weird thing I noticed. I also, one thing we'll have to do off the thing, I have a spreadsheet of games I've played. I need you to help me go through that.
Ooh, nice.
But now that we're done with Twilight Imperium, which is, sad because Twilight Imperium is the best. Let's go back and talk about video games.
All right.
My favorite thing.
Well, you mentioned an interesting thing before we started recording, and I alluded to it already earlier. You wanted to talk about what makes a game a game?
I want you to define a game for me, a video game.
Okay, that is really hard to do.
I know.
And I don't want to I don't want to fall into the trap of like trying to come up with like an inclusive definition that excludes all the things I don't consider video games.
I have a thought through definition I could tell you, and you could. I
want to skip straight to that.
Okay, so for me, when I was thinking about what makes a video game, I figured that it needs to have three main components.
Okay.
It needs to have what the heck? What? Oh no, I forgot the term.
Oh no.
Well, one of them is it has to have risks.
Okay.
It has to have risks that when you do something, it may fail. It probably won't, but it could potentially fail.
Winning state and failing states. Winning and failure states.
Yes and no. No, yes and no. So yes, but one of the other ones is failure state. A failure state is required. Da-ba-da-ba-da. I'm going to do this. I have notes. I'm so sorry. Da-ba-da-ba-da. Please fill, Ben, while I look up stuff.
See, that already discludes so many games.
Hold on.
Because there's lots and lots of video games that don't have failure states.
Okay. Okay, so the game needs to have stakes.
Okay.
So the game needs to have stakes. Something that, when you're doing it, is a potential to go wrong. It has to have the risks that go with those stakes. So if you have, say, if you're running around a game and you're shooting people, the stakes are that you're going to win the game, you're going to beat the other players. The risks are that you're going to die and you're going to lose.
Okay.
And the final thing it needs to have is a failure state. But the thing that's important to note is that I'm not saying a failure state as in like you've lost the game.
No, game over, but
No, but it has to be a scenario where the game ends up stopping or ceasing or takes something away from you.
what about the entire cozy game genre?
I'm Stardew Valley. Let's
That's
talk
what I
about
was gonna
specifically
say.
Stardew
That's
Valley.
exactly what I was going to bring up.
So, what are the stakes in Stardew Valley? The stakes largely are inconsequential for the actual farming part. But there's elements of this in the game when you go to the dungeon. The stakes are for going in the dungeon, or if you're farming and overdo your energy, is that you lose items.
Okay.
The risk you incur upon this point is when you're doing these things, if you overexert yourself, you'll lose the items. And then the failure state is when you fall and you have to go to the hospital in the game to get to the next area.
So the only part of Stardew Valley that qualifies as a game is when you go, like killing monsters in the mine. Then
No, because you can overdo your energy through just farming. The actions in the game at any point when you do that.
the thing is that like I mostly agree with your argument, but it has always been something that's been pushed against. Like because as soon as you start talking about idle games or walking simulators or like a bunch of things where everyone's like, well, that's not technically a game, and other people are like, yeah, it's a game, and it's like, well, now we need to define what a game is, and now we're trying to like figure out how to include or exclude those, and we can based entirely on just what our specific definitions are.
Well, if we talk about specifically walking simulators, it's another good example, like Dear Esther. I would argue that Dear Esther isn't a game, but that's not because of like anything like that. It's just because it has there's no way of any kind to stop or fail. The only possible way that you can fail at anything is by not complete the game is by not playing it.
Yeah. Dear Esther is because there are some walking simulators that have more gameplay to them.
Definitely. I think Firewatch counts as one of those, but I'm not 100%.
Firewatch is an adventure game,
Yeah.
I call it.
I don't think it has branching paths, though.
Well, I think about like a lot of adventure games is that they're not they don't have branches. They're completely linear, but you just got to figure out where the path is by clicking on the thing, talking to the right person, solving the puzzle or whatever.
I suppose. There's just not really a puzzle in that one.
Okay, well, that adventure games are a weird genre.
They are. That was one of the other ones I was going to bring up.
Well, they're an old genre too. So
Well, the first.
So when we talk about like what makes a game or not, if we're not including adventure games in the discussion, then we can't actually have the discussion proper.
Well, that would be one of my other points. There's a lot of games or adventure games where you can die. Like I think it's there's the Leisure Suit Later game.
A lot of the older ones.
I think it's the Roberta Williams ones. I can't remember the company that she's with, but I remember her name.
Sierra.
Yeah, a lot of the Sierra
King's
games.
Quest games.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the quest games where you just like will die if you go the wrong way once.
I mean, there's a lot of older adventure games that do. I'm sure there's plenty of new adventure games that do
But if
that
we talk
too.
about like I think Monkey Island would be a good example because I don't think there's any kind of like official failure state in that game.
No.
The only real way that I would consider you failing that game or that like there is a failure is if you just can't complete the puzzle.
You
The
get stuck and you
puzzle.
quit.
Yeah. That would be, in my opinion, the failure state.
See, I don't know. I don't want to fixate. What about Cookie Clicker? Is Cookie Clicker a game, or are you just going to say, no, it's just not a game?
I don't know. See, this is sort of the thing that I like about it. Is like that's kind of the thought I had up until this point, but now you brought up Cookie Clicker. I'm not 100% sure at that point.
Well, idle games do get under people's skin, and there's a lot of people who would just say those aren't games.
I think it would be fair to say both, because like I think like ultimately, what if it's not a game? What is it, right? Well, if it's not a game, it's just an experience that you're going through, and I think that's fine to deal with. But I don't know if I would consider Cookie Clicker necessarily a game, other than I guess there is the stock market that you can fail at doing.
Yeah, there is a game to do, kind of.
There's kind of gameplay elements within it, but
There's
I don't know.
mini games within the game
Yeah.
structure. So, oh shoot, I had a thought and then I just lost it. Damn.
Was it another kind of game? Because I was also thinking of Animal Crossing. Because I would say the failure state in Animal Crossing is if you fail.
Do you know what the definition of a sport is?
You have told me in the past. We've talked about this, but I forget.
It's one of those super vague things that nobody is happy with, because a sport just basically means anything you're doing in your free time for fun.
Yeah, so technically speaking, I think
all of gaming is a sport.
Yes, you've made this point
Chess
previously.
is definitely a sport. Playing any outdoor activity is going to be a sport. And it's like, well, yeah, then what's the point of... That's not what we mean. That's not what we mean when we're making these barriers around, basketball versus chess versus Dota.
Yeah. Well, that's sort of the thing. I don't personally think that what is a video game needs to be like restrictive of any kind.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually happier that regularly this would get pushed overwhelmingly.
I'm always, when it comes to defining video games, I'm way more inclusive than, I'm like, no, let's just say everything's a video game and get everyone into the hobby. Okay? But for me, because I brought up the genre thing, that's way more important. Because, like, what type of games do you like? Which type of games do you not like? If you're never going to consider Walking Simulator a video game, that's fine. Just leave those fans alone. We're going to find out what game you like.
Well,
so when we define the genre of Walking Simulator, how do we know whether that's going to appeal to someone or not,
I would also like to add, for the record, I don't think that they would be considered a game, but I still like them.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed Firewatch quite a bit. I actually played that. The only thing that sucked about Firewatch was that it was too short.
Yeah.
And the result was kind of stupid. The ending was kind of dumb.
Yeah, I didn't love the ending. Well, adventure games are all about the stories, and, like, if you don't like the story, then what exactly was
that's kind of the problem. I love the story. I was so into it for, like, a period of time. I was getting so hyped. I was standing, and then it was like, oh.
No, it's just about a sad guy.
It's just about a guy. I thought it was going to be really deep and interesting, and they had a lot of hints to other stuff, and then it was kind of not.
See, for me, the weirdest thing I was excited about for Firewatch was just the walkie-talkie feature.
Yeah, the walkie-talkie
feature
is great.
Because normally when you play an adventure game, you have the part where the guy where you click on the thing, and the guy says, "That's a rock."
Yep.
I can't do anything with that, or something like that. And it's like, okay, well, why is he just standing there talking to nobody? Well, in this case, he's talking to his person on the other end of the walkie-talkie.
Yeah.
It builds into the story. It makes every little interaction part of the experience.
I really enjoyed that game, or not that game. I really enjoyed that experience.
Here you are just not calling it a game.
I do have the attitude that, like, if we're not having this discussion, I'll just call it a game anyway because I don't care that much. I don't think it matters. I think if you call it a game, it's fine. But, like, if I'm actually thinking about the real structure, I would say it's not. But I also think that's fine.
All right, so let's go back to the beginning of video games.
Beginning of video games, the whole one.
We've got Tennis for Two.
Tennis for Two.
We've got Breakout, Pong, some very, very basic sports-themed action games. And our first divide in our first orthodoxy in video game genres and what is and not a video game is whether action games and non-action games are the same thing.
Gotcha.
On PCs, we've got RPGs and we've got adventure games, both of them inspired by Dungeons & Dragons.
Yep.
We also got roguelikes and MUDs to a certain extent.
Yeah, but they're less popular.
Yeah, well, they're mostly bigger, specific... Oh, Rogue is its own interesting mess. I don't want to get into Rogue. Adventure games, on the other hand, is very, very D&D inspired, and it just wants to capture that problem-solving experience, you know? I don't think most people think of adventure games as being D&D because they think D&D RPGs, video game RPGs are about stats and experience and leveling up and stuff. Where it's like, no, adventure games are always trying to recapture that experience, but they're just not focused on the numbers in the way that RPGs, the video game genre, are.
Yeah, they're more focused on creating an atmosphere and story that you can go through and experience.
So an early one is Colossal Cave Adventure. It's literally a dungeon crawl. You go into the dungeon, you pick which rooms you go to, you look around the room for things that are interesting. You might have enemy encounters you got to deal with.
Yep.
It's just that everything's being done through text prompts. This is still a game, right?
Yeah.
So why isn't Firewatch?
Because like there's no way to fail of any kind.
So as soon as adventure games took out the failure state, that's when they stopped being games?
As soon as there's literally no scenario where you can stop playing the game unless you literally stop playing the game. I say adventure games are games because you can get filtered by puzzles.
Mm-hmm.
And to be fair, a lot of adventure games puzzles are really stupid. The solutions are dumb because as the genre grew, it stopped going from being like a logical, like this is the way to do it because it was too easy, and started becoming like this is how the developer thinks you should do this one specific thing, and it becomes like nonsense.
They're literally just trying to like fill up space, and they
Yeah.
have you like grab random things and solve weird moon logic puzzles that don't make any sense.
When I think of them in this context, I think if this stops you, that'd be a failure state. Now, I obviously most people that's not going to happen with, but I think that'd be the kind of the case is that there's the stakes are that you won't complete the story. The risk is that you won't be able to solve the puzzle, and the failure state is that you didn't solve it.
See, I don't know. Because, like I said, we're discounting a huge part of video game history as soon as we just take out the failure state problem. Because so many adventure games, the failure state is, I got bored, I quit.
Yeah. I think it can be described for a lot of them. But if the situation is you got bored, you quit, I think that's a little different. Because if you just got bored because the game is boring.
But that's why anyone would quit an adventure game. It's like, I'm not making any more progress, I don't know where to go, I quit.
Maybe. My interpretation was literally frustration.
For the case of Firewatch, and it's really hard to not complete Firewatch, but it is entirely feasible that you're like, okay, well, I didn't interact with the thing I'm supposed to interact with. I didn't go to the place I was supposed to go to get the story trigger. And, like, you're stumbling around trying to figure out where that place is or what that thing is, and you get bored and quit. That's the same as any other adventure game. That's the same as LucasArts' Secret of Monkey Island.
Potentially. I don't know.
Because Secret of Monkey Island doesn't have, like, puzzles or anything, you know?
No.
Beyond just what I combine to make the thing to solve the puzzle. It's like, oh, I need the red herring in order to get past this pun-based problem.
Yeah.
Literally a red fish you get out of a kitchen.
My thought process with Firewatch is that the game is really specifically designed to put the game. I did it again. It's designed to push you toward the goal.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have any. I never at any point got lost.
But you could have.
But you could have. Maybe you're right then. It's a good point. I hadn't considered. I also haven't played it in a while. I wasn't entirely sure. For me, in my head, Dear Est is a better example. Because I know in that game you literally cannot lose.
I think Dungeons & Dragons is also a weird thing to take inspiration from, because Dungeons & Dragons was such a weird game.
When it came out, it was really odd, yeah.
There's a lot of, tabletop RPGs that also don't have failure states. D&D obviously has a failure state, but it's also one that as a DM, you are doing everything you can to avoid ever happening, because that would ruin the game for players, you know? Like, the best kind of failure state for a D&D game is just a setback where, like, maybe one player dies and they have to go revive them, versus a total party kill where it's like, okay, well, adventure over. What are we supposed to do?
I feel like I never considered D&D within this context, so that's a fair point.
Right.
I don't even know if I would like quantify it with. I don't think it can be quantified because of the human element, like because every DM is going to be different.
See, my big thing is like, don't even bother quantifying. Period.
Sure.
It's not useful, but also, it's a more interesting. Like, it's so much deeper than you can possibly imagine.
Yeah.
Is all I mean.
And
Speaking of. I just want to say, for the adventure game thing with the moon logic puzzles, that's coming from D&D too.
Oh, sure.
Like, if you got, like, a famous example, there's this, like, one adventure game where you have to, like, pick up an object from the railway of a subway, and, like, the item you need is a big rubber ducky floaty.
Yeah.
And for some reason, they use it as, like, a fishing hook to pick it up, and it, like, doesn't make any fucking sense at all.
Yeah.
But, like, that is the moment in Dungeons & Dragons when your players just want to use whatever objects that they have available to them to solve the puzzle, and they're trying to justify their, like, insanely creative, weird way of doing it. It's like, that's what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, but, like, if you're not playing the player part of this.
It's not fun to be the person trying to, like, figure out what the script
in
was.
a sense, you're playing the DM within that adventure game, and you're trying to be like, "What the fuck do you mean? I use a goddamn available? What are you
How am I
talking
supposed
about?"
to use a floaty to pick something up? That doesn't make any sense. Floaties don't have any way of grasping anything. You wrap it around your arm to not sink. What are you doing?
Yeah, but no, I that was the theory that I came up with, and I thought, it was interesting. But your point still stands that maybe it's just better not to quantify it at all. Maybe let everything be everything and just have fun.
Well, no, there's definitely a reason why we want to classify things and quantify things to a certain extent. I don't know what the uses of trying to say something is or isn't a game would be,
Nah.
but like, as soon as something's a game, it's going to get sold
Yeah.
in a game marketplace, That's all that really matters. Is like, can you sell an idle game? Can you sell an adventure game? Can you sell a cozy, Stardew Valley style, farm simulator?
Yes. It's all those. People have done it. I bought them. I bought Gnorp Gnorp. Weird game.
So in terms of adventure games and like that entire thing, I want to talk about the action adventure genre.
Sure.
Because it is the vaguest thing that nobody ever fucking thinks about.
Yeah.
But when you go back and it's like, oh, there's a history here. Because at the arcade, you had your action games, and in the computer space, you had your RPGs and you had your adventure games.
Yep.
And when the home console market was really taking off with the NES, you had that fusion of the two ideas.
Yeah.
You had persistent game worlds, not you just lose and game over, you got to start from the beginning. It's like, no. You can save your game, you can continue making progress, you can find new things and go back to old areas and solve stuff, like, Legend of Zelda style.
Yeah.
That's why it's an action-adventure game, because it has those adventure elements. But you're still latched onto the action part of the game as being the game part.
Yeah. I've thought about that quite a bit because, like, a lot of times when I'm considering what games to get, I'm thinking gameplay-wise.
Mm-hmm.
I rarely care so much about the story. It depends. There's some games that have really excellent stories that I've been like, yeah, that was a good time. I haven't played Thomas is Alone, but I've heard that one is, like, an unbelievably good story.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I'm thinking gameplay specifically. And gameplay would be like, in Legend of Zelda, you'd be fighting swords. You'd be using your sword and fighting guys.
Well, when you call Legend of Zelda an action-adventure game, it's entirely accurate, but it also tells you nothing.
Yes.
Action-adventure is... What action-adventure the genre means is just console single-player game.
Largely, yeah. Because, like, the Legend of Zelda is in the same boat as the Drake's Fortune.
You can try to say that Devil May Cry is more of an action game, and you're like, you're right, it is, but it's also just an action-adventure game.
It's a hack and slash, it's a slasher. It's got
you
all that
can
stuff.
say that Dark Souls is more of an action RPG, but it's also just an action-adventure game.
We got, like, Metal Gear Solid. These are action games, but
it's
also...
a stealth game, but it's also an action-adventure game.
Yeah, exactly. Everything's an action-adventure game, and nothing's an action-adventure game.
So then we kind of come up with more specific things, like Metroidvania.
Metroidvania, which is a terrible name.
Well, do you know where Metroidvania comes from?
I have a theory.
Go for it.
Metroidvania.
Yeah.
Metroid and Castlevania.
You got it on the money.
Bam.
So there was a series of games called Metroid. You may have heard it on this podcast before. And there's this other series of games called Castlevania. Castlevania is like this action game series where you play as a little dude with a whip and you kill vampires, and it fucking rules. But this guy named Igarashi, he worked at Konami. He worked on Castlevania games, and he found a Castlevania game in a bargain bin at a store, and it really upset him.
Oh, yeah?
Because he was like, why would anyone, like, sell their copy of Castlevania? Like, wasn't it good enough? Like, Castlevania is an awesome game. I worked on this game. I love this game. Why would you do that? So he's like, okay, I want to make a Castlevania game that nobody is ever going to resell.
Okay.
Because it is so big and deep that it is, like, the most interesting thing ever, and you're going to continually go back and play it, and you're going to find new secrets and stuff like that. And he made Castlevania Symphony of the Night for the PlayStation. And guess what was his #1 inspiration for that game? Guess which game by Nintendo was the major inspiration for Castlevania Symphony of the Night?
Balloon Fight.
Nope.
Is it Metroid?
No, it wasn't Metroid. It was Zelda.
It was Zelda?
It was Zelda. Because Zelda is an action-adventure game with, like, tons of things to find and tons of secrets all over the place. And, you find items that, like, unlock new areas, like, later on and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You'll see, like, puzzles that, like, you can't get past, but then you get an item in a dungeon later on. It's like, oh, now I can get there. It's a Metroidvania.
I didn't know that.
And this is where I get, like, so fucking annoyed by the Metroidvania genre. It's like, okay, every single Zelda game is a Metroidvania by your guys' definition, because you've got such a stupid, limited definition of Metroidvania, which somehow does not include Zelda, even though it meets all of your prerequisites. even though it's the original Metroidvania. It's the original action-adventure game. You know?
He's pointing at me, but he means you.
I'm pointing at you. Well, I'm pointing at fucking Redditors, basically, when I have arguments about, like, genre stuff. Because to them, what a Metroidvania is like finding the items and backtracking and having locks and keys and having, like, movement-based abilities and stuff like that. And it's like, okay, yes, but no. Because when I played Metroid and Castlevania, and I'm like, okay, this is the part of the experience that I find similar and that I really, really like, is the map screen.
Yeah.
To me, it's the fact that it's a 2D platformer without bottomless pits and with the persistent explorable map.
Okay.
You know?
So Dark Souls is not a Metroidvania to you?
To me, Dark Souls is definitely a Metroidvania,
Okay.
but technically it isn't because you don't get abilities and power-ups and you don't have like hard locks and keys based on progression. You know, instead it's just
It's skill.
It's still
effectively.
skill content. You know.
I've always thought of it as a Metroidvania from the perspective of just like, well, for me, Metroidvania just meant like open world, but not really.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Like to me, like I said, the map
Yeah.
map is what makes it for me.
The big map that you can go back to, and it's kind of open world. You can pretty much kind of go anywhere you want, but you really aren't going to be able to, and you want to go back sometimes. And that's just Dark Souls 1 to me. That's Dark Souls 1 because you get to the Fire Lake Shrine, and you're probably going to go to the Undead Burg, but you could go down.
So the person who got me into the Souls games was specifically our friend Mike, who we have talked about extensively on this podcast because he won that Twilight Imperium game.
Specifically this one, yes.
He showed me Dark Souls 1. He had already told me about Demon Souls. He was obsessed with Armored Core.
He sure was.
He got into the Demon Souls because it was made by From Software and because he loved Armored Core, which is really interesting. I don't know anybody else who's ever approached the series from that direction.
Nope.
I love him for it. And when he showed me Dark Souls, he wanted me to play at his house, and he was trying to do the thing where he didn't want to tell me what to do. He wanted me to figure it out, but also he was getting really frustrated at me, like, you know, pushing the boundaries and stuff like that. And it's like, well, then maybe you shouldn't, like, you know, spend that much time in the cemetery. I'm like, I thought this was a hard game. I'm trying to kill these skeletons, you know?
That's so funny.
But when he was like, you should go a different way, as soon as in my head he said that, it clicked. I'm like, oh, this is like Metroid.
Yep.
And that's when I'm like, I'm going to like this game. I'm not going to enjoy the experience of playing here at his house right now while he's watching over my shoulder. But when I get this game at home and I play at my own pace, I'm going to love this game.
Yep.
And I was right. And he was right.
It's a great game. Yeah, man. And then you also, like, I don't know. I was thinking about, like, how shooter also is a game genre that has no fucking meaning.
Yeah, because you look at the original shooters and it's like, well, that's Galaga and like Space Invaders, but that's not what we're talking about.
We're talking like third-person shooters and FPSs. But
well, I can
even
draw
those...
a straight line of evolution from Galaga to Half-Life.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, Doom represents when we moved that camera, and suddenly you're like, well, camera really does make a big difference, doesn't it? Because we still differentiate between third-person shooters and first-person shooters. You know,
it really changes the experience.
It changes it massively.
For me, sorry, go ahead.
The difference between a Metroidvania and a Zelda-like is literally just whether it's a top-down game versus a side-scrolling game, you know?
Yeah, well, like, there's also Okami and Darksiders, which are both very much Zelda games.
Yeah, very, very Zelda-like games.
Yeah, so they would also be counting as Metroidvania.
But otherwise, we'd only just call it action-adventure because we don't have any better way of describing that. Besides, it's like Zelda, but it's not like Devil May Cry, and it's not like Dark Souls.
This is like the best part of this hobby, dude. This is the thing I love so much.
I do too.
Every like couple of months, somebody comes out with some fucking game, and it completely redefines your entire perception of a genre. Like we had fucking Slay the Spire come out.
Yeah,
it was a really big, really cool deck building roguelike. It was awesome.
Everyone's thinking about roguelikes and deck building now.
It was awesome, and then Balatro came out.
And it's like, okay, this counts, but you're thinking about it in a different way. I never got into Slay the Spire.
No, but you got into Balatro.
I got into Balatro because it was like, this is poker.
To an unhealthy point.
I would say, okay, I fell off before everybody else. My little sister is still addicted to Balatro, and I barely play it. Just saying.
I got up before you, but when I was talking to you about it at the height of it, you were like, yeah, this is becoming a problem.
This is becoming a problem. I have a problem.
Like, you tried playing it when we were all hanging out together, and we were like, no, you got to put that down.
All right. So, quick history lesson. That's what I want to do, because I love teaching video game history. That'll be for the episode.
Quick history lesson. Go ahead.
About the invention of action-adventure genre, because we're talking a little bit about it. So, how much do you know about the start of Nintendo with the NES?
Nothing.
So there was a big video game market crash.
Oh wait, no, I knew that. Sorry.
Okay, there was this big video game market crash, and like Atari like laid off a bunch of workers,
Yep.
and a bunch of unsold video games got buried in the Nevada desert, like
E.T..
E.T. We heard about that. Used to be a rumor, turned out it wasn't a rumor, turned out it actually happened. Wild.
That's hilarious.
And Nintendo is having a hard time breaking into the U.S. market because they're Japanese.
Yeah.
And because the U.S. is still very, very racist against the Japanese because World War II was only like 20 years ago at that point. So a big part of Nintendo's strategy was marketing. The NES was sold not as a video game console, but as a toy for children. It's why it had
system.
It's why it had Rob the Robot. It's why it had the light gun built in. It's why it had this like prepackaged thing. But the other thing that they did was they really wanted to. A big problem. The reason why the market crash happened was because there was lots and lots of games that weren't selling.
Yeah.
A retailer would buy 100 copies of this game. It wouldn't sell because the game was crap. People didn't know what games were good and which ones were bad because you'd just go into a store, you'd look at a bunch of games with a bunch of different box art, and you wouldn't know if it was going to be any fun once you actually took it home.
Yeah, and the box art was often horrifically unrepresentative of what was actually going on.
Exactly. Which is why Nintendo's big thing was their Black Box series.
Yeah.
The Nintendo Black Box games were their original set of NES games where the covers of the box would have graphics from the game.
Yep.
Or like pixelated graphics that looked like it was from the game. Like Mario, you could tell this isn't exactly what Mario looks like in Super Mario Brothers because it's like a blown up version of the sprite.
Yeah.
But we're not lying to you. We're not showing like this really cool, awesome spaceship. We're showing you this little cartoon pixelated spaceship. This is what the game's going to look like. It's going to be fun.
Yep.
They also had the whole Nintendo seal of approval thing to like assure the quality. So, Nintendo has two different studios making games. Research and Development 1 and Research and Development 4. There is a Research Development 2 and 3. They have never done anything interesting that I've ever seen them come up in anything I've ever read about.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't make games at any rate.
Okay.
Research and Development 1 is we like made the hardware. We are making a bunch of quick games that, work well with the hardware in order to make this like, something worth buying.
Duck Hunt?
Yeah, so they make, your light gun games, your game for Rob. They make a couple of sports titles because, you want your baseball, your tennis, things that people want to buy. Yep. They fill in blanks. Meanwhile, R&D Force, Shigeru Miyamoto's team. These are your all-star developers who are making, like, the best fucking games of all time.
They're making Mario. They're making Zelda.
Like, literally, the Black Box series of games was, like, a bunch of random games by R&D 1 and Super Mario Brothers as the big fucking ticket seller that is selling this console that everyone is like, this is the biggest, bestest game ever made up until this point. And at that time, it literally was. I
can see that, yeah.
At that time, Super Mario Brothers is called an action game. Platformers are a thing, but this is an action game in the sense of this is a game where it's skill-focused and it has a failure state, and, like, you play it like you would in any arcade game. You beat it. You keep on playing it until you win or you die.
Yeah. Fun.
Versus, puzzle games, RPGs games, things that are getting popular on PC and getting popular in some parts of the Japanese market. Like, D&D is exploding everywhere at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And video game makers are really, really into D&D, and they are making games like Ultima, which are getting ported to Japan, which are being turned into games like the Black Onyx or, stuff like that. And that's what's inspiring, waves of games like that. Like Tower of Draga was Namco's attempt at making
Baldur's Gate.
Baldur's Gate's way, way out in the future, man.
I'm trying to contribute.
Sorry,
you're good.
No, you got to go way. That's too far ahead.
Keep going.
Way too far ahead.
Just keep going.
Zelda. So okay, Nintendo is introducing the Famicom Disk System, which is their disc-based game system. They used to have cartridges. Now we're switching to discs. We can now save games on these discs, so we can have persistent worlds. And they're advertising their new big featured games. There's 2 silver box titles and 1 gold box title.
Gotcha.
The 2 silver box titles are the ones being developed by R&D 1, the studio that fills in the blanks and makes the stuff that runs well with hardware. Whereas the gold box one is being made by R&D 4. The gold box, you can probably guess, that's Legend of Zelda.
Yeah. That's what I would guess.
So when I want to get to it, when I talk about like Metroid has a really, really interesting history in terms of other Nintendo games, in that almost all of the ones you hear about were made by R&D 4.
Oh, really?
R&D 4 made Zelda and Mario. Obviously didn't make like Fire Emblem or Kirby because those were made by different studios that are just affiliated with Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
But Star Fox and F-Zero were both made by R&D 4 as well. And Shigeru Miyamoto has a hand in like all of these franchises. Like when Star Fox was being made, he doesn't take credit for it, but he's the one who designed all the characters and the world and everything.
Right.
He designed the F-Zero world too. He made Captain Falcon the same way he made Mario and Zelda. It was less of a creative thing on his own than it was, here's a job you have to do, draw a picture for us. But, he still gets a lot of credit for that. Metroid is the only major Nintendo property that was made by R&D1 that has persisted to this day, which is why it's so fucking weird.
Oh, really?
Because it was like the other Silver Box game. There was 2 Silver Box games, Metroid and Kid Icarus, and both of them we're trying to make a big action game with persistent elements, with adventure elements.
Yeah.
Metroid is the most smooth, like streamlined version of that. It is almost pure action game with as minimum like adventure elements as possible. Like there's no sub screen, there's no map screen, there's no switching between different like inventories or equipment or anything like that. You get the item, you immediately equip the item, it's immediately usable. There is no sub areas within your area. It is just one big map that is continuous from start to finish. You never have any interruptions or anything like that. That was like the goal design for it. Because Metroid was designed very much, outside looking in. It's like, what are we going to fill in? Like, how are we going to solve these problems?
We need to get something out. We need to be interesting, but we can't, we don't have the time or budget as, R&D1.
Exactly. Which is, okay, well, let's make it a space game. I want something that looks goopy. I'm going to make Norfair, this weird goopy alien world planet.
Yeah.
We've got, a lot of fantasy characters. How about we have, a Space Ranger? She's like or he's like a cyborg. They didn't, Samus wasn't a girl yet or anything like that. I don't want to get too much into I think next episode I want to talk about each individual game.
But go for it.
But you know what I mean? Where it's this is when console games as we know them was made. It was around this time. When we started taking for granted a video game is a persistent experience with an action element and also some exploration and other stuff.
Yeah, it's really when those genres kind of expanded to the point, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's interesting.
When they first got started, because it would be a while. Sega, when they were doing the Sega Genesis, those are mostly action games that people remember. Arcade conversions or just action, good action games for the system. The Super Nintendo was famous for JRPGs mostly.
Right. Yeah, because that's when Final Fantasy started becoming a thing.
Final Fantasy started becoming Final Fantasy II for the Super Nintendo was a big thing in the U.S. And then Final Fantasy VI was a massive deal. And then
I was just gonna ask. I had a question for you.
Yeah.
Is it a myth that Final Fantasy is called Final Fantasy because it was their final attempt, or is that? Do you know if that's real?
Okay. Yeah. No, that's a kind of a real story. So the company was not doing well.
Mm-hmm.
They had made a bunch of games. Not many of them had sold well.
Square Enix.
Square.
Yeah.
They were not Square Enix.
Oh, they're just Square.
Enix
at that point?
is a completely different company.
Gotcha.
The creator of Final Fantasy, when he made Final Fantasy, it was just let's throw our dream projects at the wall at this point because we don't know what's going to sell, so I'm just going to make the thing I want to make. And it was called Final Fantasy because it was if this game does not sell well, we have to fold up the company. We're going to be gone.
Right.
And it sold well. And Square became a big company.
So it is basically true. Okay.
Yeah.
I've heard that before, and I was I thought I heard at one point that it was actually not true, but I don't know.
Well, it wasn't going to be their final game. It was just their last-ditch effort for success. Yeah. And it turned out to be a massive success.
Well, interestingly enough, on this discussion of Legend of Zelda, the game that I've been playing up until waiting till Silksong has not been Hollow Knight.
No?
It's been Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom.
Really? You've been playing Tears of the Kingdom?
Dude, it's so much fun.
I kind of fell off of it not long after it came out, and I haven't really returned to it.
I also fell off of it pretty quickly in. I think I only did 2 of the big Divine Beast things that were in Breath of the Wild.
I only did 1.
I did 2, and I got kind of bored.
No, that's not true. I did 2.
I've been having a buttload of fun playing it recently, though.
Yeah.
Going through and just exploring it, not really focusing on the story of any kind. I'm not looking at it. I'm just wandering around the world. And I really want to talk about how much I specifically love what they did.
So, Tears of the Kingdom specifically, or Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom as games?
The combination.
Okay.
Because what they did, if you haven't played it, which probably you have, but if you haven't played it, you don't know about it, in Breath of the Wild, they made a really cool big open world, and I think you've said in the past it's like the only open world game that you really like at all.
Yeah, so far it is. I still haven't played Elden Ring though.
Sure, but like, I mean, it's probably gonna be on the same level, to be fair.
Yeah.
But it was like it was really cool, and one of the best parts of Breath of the Wild is exploring it because there's so many fun little details that are kind of macro in that game. But like there's an island in Breath of the Wild that you can go to where you just see it off in the distance. You're like, can I go to that? And you get into a boat and you get there and you get on the island and then they take away all of your items.
Yeah.
And you have to figure out how to like survive the island and get to the next part. And it was like one of the coolest experiences ever for me in that game. And there's tons of those. In Tears of the Kingdom, what they did is they took the world from Breath of the Wild, they put it over here, and they did it again, but they changed a few details around the whole map, and they added 2 levels to it. So now there's a basement level and a attic level, for lack of a better term. And a lot of people criticized it for being, when it came out, for being effectively DLC.
Yeah.
Because it's basically just taking the game we already had and adding to it. On the other hand, I love it. I love that they did that. I think it's a really cool, interesting way to add to what you already have. And I like that there's a depth to all of these elements, and that adding on to adding the sky area has added there's mazes in Breath of the Wild that you can go through, and there's like 2 or 3. They have another level of those mazes on top now that you can do in the sky as well. And I thought it's one of the coolest things they've done, and everybody hated it. Everybody hated it but me.
I think a lot of people, a lot of the hate for Tears of the Kingdom is just as annoying as a lot of the obsession with Breath of the Wild when it came out. Because I was like, okay, we need to give it props for what it's doing well. We need to also point out what it is not doing well.
Yeah.
And like Breath of the Wild's biggest problem is that it's shallow.
Yes.
You know?
It didn't have dungeons really, and the shrines kind of sucked.
And like the content that you were doing as you're playing, when you're just like running around the map, it's like, oh, there's an encampment of bad guys we can kill, or there's a thing we can do. It's pretty repetitive. It's all very fun, but like it is junk food abnegation. You play
Sure.
for a little bit each day, messing around and stuff, and then you make like some big progress in like the actual quest, which itself is not huge or substantial.
No.
But when I say that Breath of the Wild's map is like the best I've ever played, it's because it's the first one that was ever designed from a gameplay perspective, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, most of the time before that, when they would make an open world game, you'd do that, like, you'd make, like, a real world map, you know? Here's a topography, here are points of interest, let's make sure that they can get to all the places that are important. But if this area is just forest and trees and mountains that they don't really have anything to do, then
Block
it's
it
just
off.
whatever, who cares?
New Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
New Vegas notably has like a big open world map, but there's a big chunk of it that you can't even access because it's all mountain.
It's immersive, it's simulationist, but it's not gameplay, you
No.
know? Whereas Zelda, when they were designing, it's like, okay, well, let's consider where the player is going to be standing and what they're going to be
Bam.
able to see and how they're going to be able to get to those things that they see, and once they get there, what they're going to see, and how we can, dot points of interest and how we can lead them from one place to another. The game's like geography is teaching you about how to play just as you're playing it. You're just seeing stuff and interacting with it, which is something Nintendo has always done well ever since Super Mario Bros. 1.
Yeah, and you'll play the moment in Breath of the Wild when I first played it, where you're on the Great Plateau, which is like a tutorial area for the game until you get the glider. You're running around. You're like, this is a huge map.
It's huge.
The Great Plateau is huge. And you're
It's
running around.
huge.
You're doing all this shit. And you're like, I can't wait to do the rest of the map. And then you finally get to the point where you get off. You fly off, you land on, and then you look and you see Mount Doom over there. And you see the cold mountain. You're like, I wonder if I can go there. And then you look at the map, and then you realize
It's massive.
it's huge.
That the Great Plateau that we just described as huge is this tiny little quarter
It's
on
so
a
tiny.
giant table that is your map.
And you're like, what?
And then, again, that the entire way to Death Mountain is going to be littered with tons of sites of interest and tons of things to interact with and things to play with and things to mess around with. It's fun. It's well designed. It is the best open world experience for, a hardcore gamer like
Yeah.
me.
And then for Tears of the Kingdom, you add on like a flight. You can go up in the sky now, and you can see all that same shit, but you're seeing it from below, and you can see Mount Doom, and it's right over there, and you can get to it. So you get off and you fly, but you can't get to it because it's way too far away.
My absolute favorite thing in Tears of the Kingdom isn't the depths, but the caves.
The caves.
Just the networks of caves. Just the caves that you can find all over the place that you go in, it's like, okay, well, it's just a hole. There's a chest in there, some enemies. Or, holy shit, there's an entire secret tunnel network. What the fuck did I just uncover? I just found this crazy secret room filled with mushrooms. I just found like this. I love that. It's my favorite part.
One of the most fun things in Tears of the Kingdom to do is wandering around and you see a well, and you're like, a well, and you run and you jump in the well. It's the first thing you do.
My criticism of Tears of the Kingdom is that same shallowness, though,
Yeah.
with Breath of the Wild. I do not like how when they decided, because I was a proponent of reusing the world and the game of Breath of the Wild and adding on to it. I
Yeah.
was always like, no, do the Majora's Mask thing.
Yeah.
Majora's Mask was developed in like half a year or something absurd right after Ocarina of Time came out, and it was because they reused all the same assets and they just, they cut out a lot of the hard part
Yeah.
of making the game and stuck mostly to the design. That's what I wanted from Tears of the Kingdom. My problem with Tears of the Kingdom is that they expanded it wide, not deep.
Mm-hmm.
When they added in the sky and the depths, my big thing was like I wanted more different things on the world map.
Yeah.
They
Points
did
of
add a
interest.
few little things. They changed a lot of the old ones, but they didn't add that much. It's still a pretty shallowy feeling map. And then you've got another shallowy feeling map below you, and another shallowy feeling map above you.
Yeah.
And they're all shallow. It's like it's an even bigger ocean, even wider, but it's still just as deep as it was before, which was really fun. And anyone who says it wasn't fun was full of shit. Like, a lot of the Breath of the Wild haters really need to shut the fuck up because they were... I don't know what their deal is. They just hate Nintendo, I think.
It's probably just a hater for Nintendo, and I don't know, not liking fun. But I bet they play Peak, and they love Peak, even though Peak has the same climbing mechanic.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, it's the same climbing mechanic, but a little expanded. Yeah.
It's not the physicality of climbing in Breath of the Wild that's fun. It's that they really considered, like, okay, in the Great Plateau is a great example. You go from the bomb shrine to the shrine that has the time freezing, whatever that's called.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of different ways you can get there, but they anticipate them, It's like you're going to go across this field, there's going to be this gap that you can cut down a tree to create a bridge to go across, and then there's going to be this big wall that you can climb.
Yeah.
And there's footholds for, stopping on this wall so that you can actually climb it because you're not going to have enough stamina to make this climb normally.
Yeah.
We thought about this. We also thought about what you'd be seeing while you're climbing on this wall when you look off to the right into this big field that you came from. Oh, let's add this, site of interest. Like, add this over here. Here's a puff of smoke. This is where you might see, like, the forest where the talus is from this one cliff climb,
Yeah.
It's that bespoke content that I said in a previous podcasting, the reason why I love FromSoft games.
It's just works so well.
I suspect, the reason I suspect I'm going to like Elden Ring is because I know that they did the work.
Yeah.
That they did the nitty-gritty, and it's like after they had the map algorithmically designed, they went over it and they thought, okay, but what's the player actually going to experience?
They did what Todd Howard said but lied about. They made a mountain over there, and you can actually go climb it.
I mean, you can do that in Skyrim, you just have to have a horse.
Exactly. To have a horse.
You just got to glitch the game.
Yeah. It's normal. It's fine. Normal. Yeah, that's what I've been playing. That's what I've been doing. How about you, Ben? You got anything else?
No, just Metroid, but I want to talk more about Metroid. I think what I want to do is I'll just explain the history of each Metroid game and why I like each game.
Yep.
In chronological order.
And I will be here.
And you will be
Also.
here, and Alex will be listening. And I don't know how many fans do we have? Like 20-some subscribers on YouTube so far?
Yes, but a lot of the subscribers are old.
Shout out to Eric. Shout out to Elijah.
Shout out to Alex.
Shout out to Alex. All of our mold growers.
All of our mold. Our continuing growth of mold.
I know Eric has played Metroid Dread.
Yep.
So he is the only person I know, confirmed of our friends, who I know has played through a whole Metroid game and may have an opinion on it.
I'm almost certain Elijah has, but we'll find out.
I am excited for them to peel the surface and be like, oh god, there is an insane community underneath this.
Maybe I'll-
like these people are bugfuck nuts.
Maybe I'll do Castlevania as a counter, and I'll do it wrong.
Here's the thing: I know more about Castlevania than you.
Well, no, I would learn about it between,
Okay, well that's gonna be fun.
and I would just tell you wrong information.
I would 100% do the Castlevania series following the Metroid series.
You should probably do it then. I don't really want to learn about Castlevania.
Did you know there's 3 Castlevania ones?
You know what I could tell you about?
As in, there's 3 different Castlevanias before Castlevania 2.
I did not know that. You know what I could tell you about? I could tell you about the Battlefield series.
Okay, I want to hear about the Battlefield series.
Did you know that there's like 30?
What? I thought there was like 5.
Nope. That's a lie. I could complain at nauseum about the 5. It's actually 6. I could complain at nauseum about the way they did their numbering, but I would be wrong and they would be wrong.
Oh, this is Square's fault for calling it Final Fantasy XI. Fuck you!
More about Battlefield and Metroid next week.
All right.
All right.
Thank you, listeners.
Thank you. Like, comment, subscribe. We're on Spotify, all that other stuff, those YouTube crap. We really appreciate you sticking around and watching and listening.
We hope you loved that PowerPoint presentation.
Yep. I hope you did. I probably did it wrong. I hope I wasn't in the PowerPoint the whole time because we couldn't see it.
Well, you constantly were referring to the screen that was in the opposite
Yeah, I
direction
was
of
going
where
over
we
here.
were projecting the image.
And I was like, oh, wait, no. Bye, guys. Bye.
Bye, listeners.
Bye.